here, and tonight I'm chatting with Simone Simons, vocalist for Dutch symphonic metal masters Epica, who are due to release their latest album, Omega, 26th of February. Simone, thank you for joining me, and thank you for this being the first interview of 2021 for me.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
Absolute pleasure. Did you have a good holiday season, considering?
Yes, it was laid back. I live in Germany. My family lives in the Netherlands. So unfortunately, that was just like a digital Christmas breakfast.
Yeah.
And the other part of my German family, we could meet up, and it was great. Thank you for asking.
Nice. So it's been almost 5 years since the holographic principle in 2016. I dare say recording of Omega would have brought up a whole set of challenges that you probably hadn't gone through before.
Yeah, we were actually kind of lucky because we managed to still record the choir and orchestra, both choirs. This time we also worked with a children choir. And that was all done before the lockdown came, and the lead vocals still needed to be recorded, so we had to venture out and search for alternatives. And I recorded in the studio in south of Germany, and our producer Joost was there on Zoom, so he could hear everything I did. I could see him, and we could communicate. And Mark, who lives in Sicily, recorded his vocals at home, and it worked out like that.
Yeah, it would have had its positives as well. Doing it that way, is all kind of being at home would have brought a new dimension to it as well, being a little bit more comfortable and in your own environment as well.
Yeah, it definitely had pros and cons. So first time for me to wake up in the morning, make myself breakfast, lunch, and then go to work and come back a couple hours later.
So when did you start working on Omega? I've seen that you're all kind of set up at a temporary studio. I think it was in rural Holland for a week. Is that kind of like where you started bouncing ideas off each other for what would become Omega?
Yeah, but that was already a little bit more an advanced stage
Okay.
of the writing process. I mean, we all have our home studios where we can get creative, but the intense songwriting, I would say, was then taking place in November. Where we then also got together with Joost. Everybody brought their own home studio. We set up several studios in the house. Joost was in the living room. There were some guys in the kitchen, and Koen was in his own room. I was in my room. We were neighbors, and there was music coming from all the corners of the house.
That would have been fun as well. Kind of, you said had your touring cycle, and congratulations, you've done over 1,000 shows as well. That's pretty crazy to think, but it would have been good for you all to kind of get back in and kind of catch up again that way as well.
Yeah, we had after the touring break, we then had time to get together because we have to travel from 4 different countries.
Yeah.
In order to meet up. I mean, the Dutchies don't have to travel that far, but Mark and I, we gotta fly or can also take the train. But it was invigorating. I mean, it was also nice to not have any distractions. We didn't have any other obligations. We didn't book any shows, so we were completely concentrated and focused on the writing of the new album.
Yep. The children's choir, that sounds really good. I've got to have a little bit of listen to the album. I got the album last night, so I got to listen to it a few times, and I cranked it up before my show today as well and give it another listen before the interview. It's an amazing album. Can you tell me a little bit about the children's choir and the child's choir, how that kind of come in? Because I know my daughter, I'm giving a shout out to my daughter, she loves it when metal bands have those children's choirs in it. She just finds herself singing along to those points as well.
Yeah, I love it too. The idea was we never really had a full children choir in the past, but we did have the children from our keyboarder, Koen. He has 2 kids. We did have them sing on the intro of the Holographic Principle CD. And one of his bucket lists was to have a full children's choir sing on the album. And I think it is a great element to add to set the mood, to create a certain ambience. So yeah, we decided to go for it, and we were lucky that we managed to organize it all before the lockdown. And you can see we released quite a lot of vlogs, like behind the scenes of the recording process. And there is also a vlog. I don't know the number. I think we released 11 or 12 so far, but there's also one where you can see the process of the children choir recording.
Oh, that's awesome. I'll make sure I put in the link for your channel with this article as well, so everyone can kind of go back and check out those vlogs, because it is really quite interesting to see the whole process behind it all as well.
Yeah, we give quite a big look behind the scenes.
Yep. So can you tell me a little bit about the powerful track? I want to ask Kingdom of Heaven. I'm going to dive straight into that before I ask about Abyss of Time and Freedom, because that I love epic songs. For me, it's an extremely powerful song as well, and clocking in at just over 13 minutes, I think 13 minutes 40 seconds, something like that. It's an amazingly epic and powerful song as well. Can you tell me a little bit about that track and the themes behind it?
Yeah, it is. Kingdom of Heaven is it's the third Kingdom of Heaven and also the final track.
Yeah.
The music, the basis of the music is written by Mark, and the rest of the band, but also Isaac, have contributed greatly to the writing process. It's a beast, the song, and trying to keep the long song like that interesting, it's quite a task, but it's also one of my personal favorite songs. It feels a little bit like the soundtrack to a movie, and
Yep.
it has so many unexpected twists. It has beautiful calm parts, so it's a lot of work, but I think this one and the first are my favorite Kingdom of Heaven from the trilogy. And the lyrics is it's basically a continuation of the whole Kingdom of Heaven concept, where science and spirituality have come together to find the true meaning of life, and that is also a little bit the red line going through the whole album.
Yeah, and I want to ask about the other tracks, the ones that have been released as well. The first one, can I ask about the Freedom, the Wolves Within?
Yeah, that's our second single, where
Yeah.
we have an animated video.
Yep.
And the track's also, I think, written by Mark and Isaac. I'm not 100% sure, because I was not always there when they were working on the songs, when we were in the house, of course. But I love that song. It's also one of my favorites. And the lyrics, it's about this Cherokee grandfather talking to his son about, the great life lessons. And he's talking about the two wolves within that everybody has, where the white wolf represents hope, kindness, love, peace, and the black wolf represents evil, anger, sorrow, all the negative aspects, and that we all need to learn how to balance those two, and the one you give the most attention, or the one you feed the most, will become stronger or will win. Yeah, so it's a little bit about the yin yang balance that we have within ourselves.
Yeah, I read that too, and that was a cool story. That's why I wanted to ask, so everyone can kind of hear that as well, because it's a really cool backstory behind that track as well.
Yeah.
Can you tell me about Abyss of Time?
Yeah, that song's written by Mark, the
Yeah.
music, lyrics, and it's also this, the battle between light and dark, so it's very much connected to freedom. And the video we recorded in Poland with Grupa 13. It was the first time working with them, and it was a lot of fun. I mean, the outfits were very elaborate and very, yeah, how do you say, high fashion and
Yeah,
highly
big.
uncomfortable, but yeah, big and bold and gold, and yeah,
But
I
it
loved
would have been
wearing
good
them.
to get. It would have been good though to get in and do a film clip, because I've seen other bands that kind of had to get all inventive about it, and you did as well, as we're saying with the Wolves Within. But you kind of bands had to look at other ways of doing film clips as well, maybe animated and lyric videos, because not necessarily you could all meet up and do big film
Yeah,
clips as well with a film crew.
yeah. Luckily we still managed to do a video and a photo shoot in the middle of July, and simultaneously the Dutch designer Bram Knol was working on our video for Freedom, the Wolves Within. But
Yep.
we have more stuff coming.
Yeah, well, I want to ask about the Seal of Solomon because that was a cool track. That's heavy. People are going to really enjoy that one when that comes out as well. That one hit hard too.
Yeah, and it has a little bit the old Epica touch to it with the
Yeah,
Oriental music. It has a little bit like the Saif al-Din vibes from our first album, and yeah, the lyrics are about the King Solomon, who's supposedly like the founder of esoteric science, and the music, yeah, it's like the verses have grunts. Um, the chorus is very catchy. It's like a choir chorus, very basically a typical Epica song.
yeah, it's a great song, and the artwork on this is amazing. You've always had great artwork on your covers. I dare say you're going to have vinyl as well, so everyone gets some vinyl. I've built up a vinyl collection in 2020. That was one of the things I was proud of. So I'm looking forward to getting my hot little hands on some vinyl of especially this Omega album.
Yeah, the artwork this time is made by Stefan Heileman, and he's yeah, he's an artist, definitely. And the
Yeah.
artwork for this album once more is yeah, I love it.
Yeah, and you would have pretty well been finished this album as well, kind of as you're saying, you've done that in November, and you would have been pretty well done in the start of 2020. I suppose you'd been waiting for a time to release it, that when things are looking a little bit better, that maybe you can get some touring done through the year. Have you heard anything about that at all, or?
Well, the original release date for the album would have been September last year, and the tour
Yeah,
would have taken place in October together with Apocalyptica and Wheel. But yeah, we had to venture out and reschedule the tour 2 times. We rescheduled the release once, and despite the fact that we can tour, the release is still going to happen. I think in this time we need a little bit of music in our lives, but
yeah.
it's it's tricky. I mean, I think all musicians, all touring musicians miss the stage, and especially when you have a new record out, you want to present it, you want to play the songs live. Yeah, but we have to be patient.
Yeah, we do have to be patient, and it's probably, it's the one time in the history of the world, pretty well for a long time, that we've all kind of been in the same boat together. And for me, I know 2020, I found so many new bands and dove into so many new releases and brought a lot of merch. So even though I wasn't able to go to shows, I was still able to support bands like yourself, as I was saying, like buying vinyl, buying merch, buying shirts, because just because you can't go to a show doesn't mean you can't support bands like Epica, and especially this massively, massively great album Omega, which is due to drop February 26th.
Oh, thank you. That's nice to hear that you've been very actively supporting the music industry.
Yeah, well, I think we've all got to do our part, especially so in now. And I know it's all great to get those Spotify numbers up, but it's also good to buy that merch, that's for sure.
Yeah, that's something, despite the pandemic, we always put a lot of effort in to create
Yeah.
great merch. And the thing is, we're lucky that the metal scene, metalheads are collectors and still buy physical merch and don't just, listen to Spotify. So
Yeah, and
that's a great thing.
that's exactly what I've said a lot too. Metalheads and people in the rock and the punk and the alternative community are a lot more likely to go out and buy music and support the scene. So, everyone, get out there, grab this album, chuck in a pre-order for Omega. Simone, this has been an absolute pleasure. Before we sign out, do you have any last words, shout outs, or thank yous you'd like to add in?
Yeah, I want to say thank you to all the fans and people that keep on supporting us even in these difficult times. And I hope that they are going to love the new album. We are very proud of it, and only a couple more weeks before it's released. And hopefully we can visit Australia this year, but looks more like next year. But we will definitely be back.
I hope so. I'll be front row center for Epica. Everyone, chuck in a pre-order for this Omega album, and when it drops, put it in your stereo and turn it up really loud for the neighbors. Simone, thank you very much for your time.
You're welcome. Thank you too.
Thank you.